Not long after Vice President Kamala Harris announced that she had chosen Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her vice presidential pick, Trump pounced with a hilarious email statement to his supporters. It's no surprise that San Francisco liberal Kamala Harris wants West Coast wannabe Tim Walz as her running mate. Walz has spent his governorship trying to reshape Minnesota in the image of the Golden State. It's the largest economy in the world, by the way. One of them. While Walz pretends to support Americans in the heartland, when the cameras are off, he believes that rural America is mostly cows and rocks. From proposing his own carbon-free agenda to suggesting stricter emission standards for gas-powered cars and embracing policies to allow convicted felons to vote. Interesting. Walz is obsessed with spreading California's dangerously liberal agenda far and wide. If Walz won't tell voters the truth, we will. Just like Kamala Harris, Tim Walz is a dangerously liberal extremist. And the Harris-Walz California dream is every American's nightmare. Who's going to tell them? I'm just saying that the whole, convicted felons, allowing them to vote. Trump is a convicted felon. And look, by the way, in 2023, Minnesota restored voting rights to more than 55,000 formerly incarcerated people in the state. I think that's pretty based. I mean, look, you serve your time, you should get your rights back, including your right to vote. That makes sense. It seems like a sensible position, right? And it's kind of ironic that a convicted felon, the campaign of a convicted felon who was running for president, by the way, and would be, if he won, the first convicted criminal to be in office, to be in presidential. I mean, it's amazing, right? But this guy's like, how dare they pick a VP that actually gave convicted felons back their right to vote? By the way, you should vote for me. Dude, you got 34 felony charges. What are you talking about? He was found guilty in May of falsifying business records to conceal hush money payments to an adult film star ahead of the 2016 presidential election. That is election interference. Not only that, but Trump is also accused of criminal election racketeering in Georgia and election interference in Washington, D.C., linked to the efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election, including using fake electors. I think there's a bit of irony here. This is irony of ironies. And what's funny is that you have an election now, which has changed in the past couple of weeks in just a dramatic way. But you have basically the opposites against each other now. The Republicans are fielding a felon versus a prosecutor, okay? Criminal versus prosecutor, all right? And you've got a normal, folksy, Midwestern governor versus a very educated weirdo, okay, who holds some very strange online incel opinions, okay? Like, this is the guy who went after cat ladies, okay? Who claimed that somehow drinking Diet Mountain Dew makes you racist and may or may not have had sex with a couch. I'm sorry, intimate relations with a couch. We can't prove either one way or the other that there wasn't some sort of, well, I don't know,
sexual anarchy
that happened at IKEA. We don't know. We don't know. And yet, Tim Walz is apparently a dangerously liberal extremist for what? Passing popular policies? It's hilarious. But look, I've got a video here. This is Nancy Pelosi on Morning Joe actually pushing back on the idea that he is a wide-eyed lefty.
Tim Walz, I know very well. Let's say he served in the House. To characterize him as left is so unreal. It's just not what the question. He's right down the middle. He's a Heartland of America Democrat. And he was the chair of our Veterans Affairs Committee. And I don't want anybody to forget that, because he made tremendous, tremendous gains for our veterans. Working with our folks on the Appropriations Committee and with the Speaker, we made more progress than had ever been made in the history of our country since the GI Bill under his leadership. 25 years in the National Guard, longest serving non-commissioned officer ever serve in the Congress of the United States. So he brings the security credential, he brings the rural credential, and he will do well in moral America.
I love the pretzels that she kind of has to tie herself into to say that, well, he's not he's not on the left or anything, but he brought a lot of progressive change to the Veterans Administration. Yeah, he is, but he's down the middle. Yeah, he's a populist. Okay, or at least he is in favor of passing populist policies, which also happen to be progressive. And again, one of the things that he passed was guaranteed school lunch for every child in the state of Minnesota, regardless of income. You know what that is? It's pretty progressive. It's pretty based. I love it. And yet this is to contrast him with J.D. Vance, who was like, oh, you know, women should be breeders. And if they're not breeders, they should pay higher taxes. What? I'm sorry. This guy's like, let's feed all the children. And this guy, and J.D. Vance is like, let's force women to have more babies. Weird. And again, getting back to Trump here, Trump is a literal criminal running for president, who is also saying that felons shouldn't be able to vote. Irony of ironies. And by the way, neither of them have really come out on a policy in favor of, school lunch, feeding children. Neither of them seem at all interested, J.D. Vance and Trump, in feeding hungry children. So, again, super bizarre. But again, on the criminal thing, it's funny because he says not in favor of, allowing people with criminal convictions to get their right back to vote. He's got a lot of fans who have been convicted of criminal offenses that are not able to vote. These are Jan 6ers, okay? Coming out against this is really ridiculous. But you know what? If that's the way you want to go, have at it, buddy. All right? It just shows, this really does show, great example of how unprepared Trump has been, Trump Vance, for the last couple of weeks. Again, they thought that we're going after Joe Biden. Our campaign strategy is to call him old. And then we're going to win. And you know what? For a while, it actually looked like that was going to happen. We don't know. I mean, but now, oops, new nominee, suddenly massively energized Democratic base. And how have they responded? Well, attacking Harris on her race, because that's going to play well. Doubled down on transphobia, which is not a political winner. And now they're attacking Tim Walz as some radical, dangerously liberal extremist for feeding children that were hungry. Okay. All right. Look, I'm just saying that if this entire campaign continues on as it is, I don't want to jinx it, but we might actually win. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.